Hello, everyone. I am Jenny, and welcome back to the Happy Aura channel. It is such a joy to have you here with me today. I want to invite you to take a deep breath, settle into your chair, and open your heart to a conversation that might feel a little difficult at first, but is ultimately one of the most liberating discussions we can ever have. We are going to talk about truth. Specifically, we are going to talk about the painful, often ignored truths that other people tell us about themselves, and why we, with all our intelligence and goodness, so often choose to cover our ears. There is a familiar expression that you have likely heard before, a piece of wisdom that captures a deep, rattling psychological truth. It comes from the brilliant Maya Angelou, and it goes like this: when people tell you who they are, believe them. It sounds simple, does it not? It sounds like the most basic common sense. Yet, in practice, it is one of the hardest principles for the human heart to accept. What does this phrase really mean? It means that certain people constantly reveal to us some of their deep-seated inclinations towards unkindness, treachery, vanity, and selfishness. They do not hide it. They make no bones about their cowardice or their greed. They may simply, and in broad daylight, declare their harmful natures to us. They take no precautions in offering up stories from which a negative moral is blatantly clear. They act out their lack of integrity right in front of our eyes. But for our part, we miss every one of these clues. We watch the movie, but we miss the plot. We remain too hopeful, too naive, too much on the other side of the equation, and not enough on our own side to trust in the omens we are witnessing. And in the process, quite tragically, we may destroy our lives. I want you to imagine a scenario. Imagine someone who never returns any of your generosity. You are the one always buying the coffee. You are the one sending the thoughtful text messages. You are the one remembering the birthdays and the anniversaries. They take it all with a smile, perhaps, but nothing ever comes back. The flow of energy is entirely one way. Or imagine someone who tells us they did not mean to hurt us by flirting with other people at a party, but then, the very next weekend, continues to do so regardless. They watch you crumble, they hear your pain, and yet the behavior repeats itself with a terrifying consistency. Consider someone who intermittently disappears without warning. You are texting back and forth, the connection feels electric, and then silence. For 3 days, there is nothing. No explanation, no reassurance. Then they pop back up as if nothing happened. Or think about someone who again and again responds with defensiveness to ideas that matter to us. You try to share a vulnerability, a hope, or a fear, and instead of being met with a warm embrace, you are met with a wall. They tell you that you are too sensitive, or that you are overthinking, or they simply change the subject. There are other, subtler signs. Someone who greets every warm comment from us with curt, dismissive replies. Someone who never invites us to meet any of their friends, keeping us compartmentalized in a small, hidden corner of their life, or someone who is half-hearted in saying thank you, or always says maybe when we desperately need a yes, someone who never asks us anything about ourselves. You realize, after an hour of dinner, that they know everything about your day, but you know nothing about theirs because they have not asked a single question. All these behaviors are, in their own way, extremely clear communications. They are not accidents. They are not glitches. They are ways for our interlocutors to tell us, in ironclad terms, a very specific message. In effect, they are saying, I am not to be trusted. I do not respect you. I have other things that matter more to me than you. Your feelings are not a concern to me. I do not love you. I do not have a moral code. I am not accountable, and I will put my comfort far above your needs. One would think that such alarming truths would immediately enter our consciousness. One would think that the moment we saw the flirting, or felt the coldness, or noticed the selfishness, we would stand up, put on our coat, and walk away to defend our interests. We would say, I see who you are, and I decline to participate. But the problem, my dear friends, is that some of us are not remotely built to notice the attacks on us by others. We listen and we look, but the deeper import of what we are witnessing evades us. We become master translators of bad behavior into acceptable behavior. We become defense attorneys for people who are prosecuting our hearts. We say things like, yes, of course, the other person does seem a bit distracted. I can concede that. But perhaps they are just busy at work, or they are exhausted, or they are taken up temporarily with other thoughts. We make excuses for them that they have not even made for themselves. We say, yes, it is true that their behavior is not entirely gentle or considerate right now. But isn't it the case that they were pretty kind to us a year ago? Remember that one time they promised to take us out for a treat. Even if they did later forget to do so, the intention was there, right? The thing we cannot do is lay appropriate and proportionate emphasis on the darkness. We cannot hold the weight of the negative truth, the reality that we have a dangerous con artist, or worse, a narcissist or an emotional abuser on our hands, constantly escapes us. We stare right at the monster, and we see a misunderstood puppy. And the reason for this is simple, though it is deeply rooted in our history. We were never educated to despair correctly of people who frustrated, neglected, ignored, tantalized, or blindfolded us. We were not taught how to give up on people. In fact, we were taught the exact opposite. We were taught to hold on, to fix, to understand, to endure. We were not able to squarely acknowledge the harmful nature of those around us when we were children, because these people happened to carry the title of parent or caregiver. This is where the wound begins. When you are small, 4, 5, 6 years old, you are entirely dependent on the adults around you. They provide your food, your shelter, your safety. You cannot afford to see them as flawed, dangerous, or selfish. No child can afford to give up cleanly on those on whom its existence depends. If your parent is cruel or neglectful or chaotic, you cannot pack your bags and move to a new family. You are stuck. And because you need to survive, you cannot believe in the full bad news of your family of birth. To believe that your protector is actually your predator is too terrifying for a child's mind to comprehend. It would cause a psychological collapse, which is why the truth gets twisted. The child's mind performs a heartbreaking acrobatic feat. It twists the reality unbearably to preserve the image of the parent. We tell ourselves stories. We say, "My father is lovely. He is just a bit tough. He shouts because he wants me to be strong." We say, "My father did care for me. He just got married to someone else and started a new family because he was confused." We say, "My mother is sweet. She is just busy. She forgets to pick me up from school because she has so much on her mind." We say, "My stepfather is nice. He just looks at me a little bit strangely at times because he is tired." We internalize the blame. We decide that if we are being treated badly, it must be because we are bad. We think, if I were quieter or smarter or better, they would love me properly. We choose to believe in our own unworthiness rather than believe in their incapacity to love. We choose hope over truth because hope allows us to survive the night. From this enforced generosity towards the harmfulness of others, we develop a lifelong bias towards not believing bad news from people in our circle. We carry this loyal child into our adult relationships. We become experts at giving the benefit of the doubt to people who do not deserve it. We have trained for decades to look for the silver lining in a thunderstorm of abuse. When we end up in a relationship with someone who, beneath a sweet manner, constantly disrespects us, we revert to that childhood state. It may take us 5 years to wake up to the humiliation. 5 years of excuses. 5 years of saying, "He is just stressed," or "She is just working through some trauma." The last thing on our mind is that someone close to us could be a disreputable turncoat. The last thing we want to believe is that the person sleeping next to us does not actually care if we live or die. Even though the signs may have been piling up, the forgotten birthdays, the cruel jokes, the emotional withdrawals, and even though all our true friends knew it from the start and tried to warn us, we stayed blind. We defended them against our friends. We defended them against our own gut instincts. But here is the good news, hard as it may be to hear. Once we wake up and learn to properly believe the negative verdicts we are being served up, everything changes. Once we learn to listen to the telling, we become free. There will, it is true, be far fewer individuals we would ever consider dating, working with, marrying, or continuing to spend time around. Our circle might shrink. We might find ourselves spending more time alone. That sounds like a pity. It sounds lonely. But But let me tell you, it is an even greater pity, indeed a tragedy, to keep insisting that certain people are decent when they are not. It is a tragedy to keep insisting that they are about to take us seriously, or that they are faithful, when every action they take screams the opposite. It is a tragedy to pour your precious, limited love into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. We need to finally and fairly give up on those who betray us. We need to stop being the loyal child trying to win over the difficult parent. We are adults now. We can survive the truth. We can feed ourselves. We can clothe ourselves. And we can soothe ourselves. We no longer need to lie to ourselves to stay alive. We need to embrace a new kind of loyalty. In order to recover a lost loyalty towards someone we have neglected and disrespected for far too long, we must turn away from those who hurt us. Who is that person we have neglected? It is ourselves. It is our vulnerable, worthy, true, intelligent selves. The part of you that knew, on that first date, that something was wrong. The part of you that cried in the bathroom while making excuses for them in the living room. The part of you that has been waiting patiently for you to come home and protect it. When you start believing people when they tell you who they are, you are not being cynical. You are not being judgmental. You are being protective. You are setting a boundary that says, I see you. I hear what you are telling me with your actions. And because I value myself, I cannot allow this in my life. It hurts to see the truth. It hurts to admit that the person you love is incapable of loving you back. It hurts to realize that you have wasted time. But that pain is the pain of healing. It is the pain of a bone being set so it can grow back straight. The alternative, the numbness of denial, is a slow death of the soul. So, my friends, I invite you to look at your life today with clear eyes. Look at the people around you. Are they showing you kindness, consistency, respect, or are they showing you something else? And if they are showing you indifference or cruelty or selfishness, please, I beg of you, believe them. Believe them the first time. You do not need to fix them. You do not need to understand why they are the way they are. You just need to step out of the way of the damage. You deserve to be surrounded by people whose actions match their kind words. You deserve people who return your texts, who celebrate your wins, who make you feel safe. Trust your intuition. It has been whispering to you all along. It is time to turn up the volume and listen. You are worthy of the truth, and you are strong enough to handle it. By letting go of the people who hurt you, you are making space for the people who will cherish you. And most importantly, you are making space for you to cherish yourself. Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Aura channel. I know this is heavy stuff, but you have got this. You are stronger than you know. Until next time, take care of your beautiful hearts.